Hi Nimish, a very warm welcome to BW Marketing World.
Thank you so much, Soumya, for taking this time and having this interaction with me.
Thank you. Let us straight dive into the conversation for today. I want you to take us through the broad contours of the health insurance sector in India. How has it really evolved in the past years? And were you able to observe any specific change in the trends post the pandemic, or perhaps any new trends that have emerged post the pandemic?
Sure. See, there are two eras in health insurance.
Okay.
One is pre-pandemic, second is post-pandemic. And purely from a number standpoint, the category was growing pre-pandemic at an 18% CAGR.
Okay.
Post-pandemic, this year the category is growing at about 24%. Of course, during pandemic it was growing at about 32%, but 18, 32 and 24. So these are two defining eras from a health insurance standpoint. From a trend standpoint, there are three marked difference that we have seen.
Okay.
The first one is, and some of them are interrelated, but the first one in my mind amongst the most powerful one is the relevance of the category.
Okay.
Consumer post-pandemic understand that the category is far more relevant than they have given it credit in the past.
No.
Pandemic has of course seen a lot of
The appreciation for the category has
appreciation
increased.
for the category, not just that it is a piece of paper or for taxation purpose. People are now genuinely taking health insurance because they genuinely believe that they are vulnerable.
Okay.
And given the twin disease burden in India, which is infection and lifestyle based diseases, there are far more today incidences of hospitalization than that has ever been there in the past in friends and family, which continue to play a big defining role in consideration of the category.
Okay.
The second big trend that we are seeing, it's still nascent, is the participation of women. Health insurance has traditionally been a subject of breadwinner or the male of the house.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
What pandemic has taught us that it's the virus has been far more cruel to men in many sense than women. And as a result of that, when the husband is hospitalized and incommunicado, or the father is hospitalized, the family have no clue whether they have a health insurance, which company have they bought health insurance for. And given that today the education levels in the country and also the financial independence of women, when they are taking decisions on various other categories, why not health insurance?
Correct.
Now, I would still not say that women have truly become the decision makers. It still will take some more time, but it has become a conversation of the family, like buying a car, like painting a house.
Yes.
It's not a conversation anymore where the men of the house will do with an agent in the drawing room. It's become a dining table conversation.
An open conversation.
I think
Correct.
it's a remarkable shift in just 3 years. The third big thing is about, it's related to the first point, but it is also about digital discovery.
Okay.
Nowhere in the past it has happened that 69% of overall purchase of health insurance, people go to a digital channel on World Wide Web. It could be a Quora, it could be a website of the company, it could be a aggregator like Policy Bazaar, or it could be a search engine like Google, Bing, etc. In spite of a recommendation from a friend and family, in spite of knowing an advisor or a distributor, they would still want to do their independent search, which in my mind, for a category which has been for the longest time a very push-driven category, this is a very, very fantastic sign that it's now emerging to become a pull-based category as well. So that's the three things. That is relevance, there is openness to do one's own research, and there is participation of family and the women of the house.
Amazing. These are some wonderful insights. See, we understand that 2023 was an incredible year for Niva Bupa in terms of the product launches and the campaigns that were rolled out, and even the numbers that that were put out. How are you expecting this particular year, 2024, to pan out for you?
See, fingers crossed. We are very excited. I think we are in the right place at the right time in the right category.
Okay.
It's a delight for a marketer like me in a category which is going through the cusp of a push-pull journey. 23 has been fantastic. I can definitely talk about 23 because it's in the past and in public domain. There are three things that essentially has worked for us in 23. The first one is we've continued to keep innovation at the heart of Niva Bupa. And Niva Bupa, and in its earlier avatar as Max Bupa, product innovation has been something which has been our forte. And some of the things that we do is, of course, everybody does that, but the philosophy is that we try and understand what is the consumer friction of not buying. We did a research about a year back, and we understood that a lot of people still see health insurance as a waste. And when we asked them why it is a waste, what came out is, if nothing happens to me, it's a waste. Why should I do here? There are enough financial product. These are people who are financially literate cohort. And we felt that, can we solve for it? And that's when we kind of conceptualize this benefit as part of the product called Booster Plus, which is about, if you have not taken a claim, your sum insured will not get lost. It will get transferred to the next year. And we also did a fantastic film on Reassure 2.0, which is about gym membership. We don't use it.
Yes.
Yeah. And it picked up the fancy. It is a flagship product, and it is amongst the fastest growing product in the category. We also, so that's one part, which is about the innovation. The second thing, is a philosophy of Max Bupa to Niva Bupa. Niva is a Sanskrit word. It means sun. And 2.5 years back, when we transitioned from Max to Niva, we did a research with Third Eye.
Okay.
And we've refreshed this research every year independently through internal dipsticks. One thing that came out, that there is insurance companies are fairly transactional in nature. Once you buy it, they will only contact you at the time of renewal. The category is complex. You need an intermediary for simplification. And there is also a lot of fear mongering, which is celebration of vulnerability of human life. And we consciously said that if Niva means sun, sun is nourishing to all forms of life, we will never take a negative narrative. And that's how Zindagi Ko Claim Kar Le came into being. And we've stuck onto that narrative. That's one thing that we've done. And the second interesting thing is that, and this is a dichotomy. This is a category, health insurance is a category for healthy people.
Okay.
But all the codes that are associated with health insurance are about sickness, anxiety, hospitalization. It's not a category that sick people should get into, because A, it'll become very expensive. B, a lot of insurers will not give you insurance because it doesn't work like that. You have to buy it much before a sickness, God forbid, strikes you. So if health insurance is a category for healthy people, why is it not an everyday conversation? Because health is an everyday conversation. So what we've consciously tried to do, tried to do is that we have consciously tried to say that if health insurance conversation happens in sickness and anxiety, it should also happen in all celebrations and walks of life. And over the last 15 months, very proud that we have done a lot of experiments that have also seen a lot of consumer love. We're the first one to build a. So the second thing that we've done is to drive consideration not just in sickness and anxiety, but various parts of life. So that health insurance is not thought, अच्छा मैं बीमार हो गया हूँ, अच्छा मैं retire होने वाला हूँ. It's a positive category. There are enough and more negative associations with it. That's the second thing that seems to have worked for it. And I'm really proud of the fact that Niva Bupa in the last 12 months is the most awarded company. We've won 16 awards, not just on campaigns but various other things. But yeah, campaigns are 90% of it. The third thing which we focus on is driving a lot of digitization in the company, which we also want to do. Now, digitization not because these are buzzwords, but there are genuine friction points. When I take an insurance policy, I want the policy at fingertip. Of course, there are apps available in the category, but let's say if I want to make a change, my daughter's name, son's name needs to be added, etc. It's a process. Can we do it on the fingertip? If I were to make a claim, the documents have to be sent. Why can't it be sent through an app? Why can't the cashless facility, the network hospital, bundling of webinars and health experts, why can't this be brought much earlier to consumer without too much of conversations and calling people, etc. So we're trying to move away from assisted, trying to drive more and more self-help, because if you look at it, we consume a lot of stuff on our own.
True.
That's something that we haven't done, but the world around us and the categories around us has taught people. We just need to empower consumers with the right call to actions and the right knowledge. So that's the third thing that we are working on. And to the question on how do we look at 2024, not any different. We will continue to drive conversations which looks like यार ये तो normal conversations है. ऐसे कर सकते हैं क्या health insurance की बात? If we can get there, कि यार health insurance की बात हम चलते फिरते कर सकते हैं, I think we've done our job.
Sure. Okay. So taking cue from the answers that you just mentioned, you spoke about how perhaps the many perceptions and understanding challenges that are associated with this category, women not being involved in this whole process, or insurance not being an open conversation topic. How are you, ensuring that your communication strategy is working in a way that such perceptions are withered away?
Sure. So, like I said, the first and the foremost guardrail for us is that we will not sell fear.
Okay.
Our communication briefs to the agency has a standard guardrail. The guardrail is that we need to make the benefit of the product as relatable as possible with an intent to bring a smile on his face. For example, I was talking about a benefit earlier that you can pass on your non-utilized sum insured to the next year. Looks simple. The nomenclature of that benefit is Booster Plus.
Okay.
Now, understanding health insurance is difficult. Understanding Booster Plus is another problem.
Okay.
So we said that let's look at analogies. Gym membership. Canteen thali is not unlimited, right? So we looked at creative devices which are part of everybody's life so that they can relate to it. Now that part of our communication strategy, which is about dialing extreme relatability without selling fear in a manner that brings smile to the face of the consumer, has been our holy guardrail.
Okay.
So that's something that we intend to do. I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, excellent. I got it. Could you shed light on the overall marketing plans that you have for 24, and also will we see an increase in your marketing budget in this coming year? What is on cards?
Good question. At the right time, we are in the annual operating plan cycle where we are doing this fine balance between budgets and some of the other P&L metrics. So I can't comment on whether we would have a higher budget or not, but from an intent standpoint, the category sees less than, there's a reason why it's a push category. It's not that the consumer have not dealt with equally complex or more complex categories. But the way you drive simplification is by the power of communication and driving visibility. Unfortunately, if you look at the marketing in this category, the typical ATL spends are less than 0.5% of the revenue of the company. Given the business
including
model,
Niva Bupa?
Niva Bupa has gone a little up than that.
How much would that
We would be putting about, I would not have the numbers, but if I look at my past, let's say I was spending X, I'm today spending 3X.
Okay.
The other thing is that our revenues are.
This is only on
growing at
ATL, right? 3X on ATL.
I'm talking about ATL.
Okay.
Only ATL, of course. There's digital spends which is growing by about 2.5 times, but that's also dovetails into business through performance marketing and some of the other routes. But that essentially is one thing, which means there is a genuine need to drive visibility. Now, visibility in today's world is not just driven by marketing campaigns. It's also driven by how are you making your brand discoverable to consumers in the online ecosystem. Sure. I just said that 65% of the consumer use World Wide Web. We have a very strong focus on search engine optimization. The power of content, I think in my mind, content marketing has a huge role to play. There is a time when brands with big monies could outshout, but today who's watching TV? There's a large segment of cord cutters and cord shavers who are not on DTH connection. They'll watch one IPL, etc., and after that, what are they watching? Where all they are watching? It's so segmented and so such a large long tail. It's very difficult.
Correct.
Now the idea is you figure out adjacencies in your business model. If we are health insurance, we've got access to health experts, we've got product benefits which covers maternity, which covers pre, post, etc. And then we look at what are the interesting areas of consumption for consumers? Can we build relevant content and then towards the end also tell them what can a health insurance do? For example, 5,000 rupees of diagnostics and OPD, there are certain policies that have it. And if you are a mother or a father with a young child, it would take some burden away.
Of
right?
course.
So that essentially is the philosophy. So it's one is about our comm strategy. Second is about how do we make brand discoverable. And sometimes discoverability does not require large budget. It just requires deep thinking.
Sure.
So we will continue to spend high. But of course, our intent is to be far more visible than we've been the last year.
Okay.
Some of it will come on the back of money. Some of them will come on the back of us using our own head and thinking about the consumer
pain points
much more deeply.
Yeah. Okay. Could you also give me a sense of the consumers that typically interact with you? What are the traits they exhibit? Have you been able to gauge any pattern or trend with the way consumers interact with you?
Very interesting question, Soumya. This is very interesting, and in a business model like ours, there is a percentage of consumers who speak to our teams directly, and we get some insights from them. But a large percentage of customers are speaking to our distributor. Insurance is a fairly distributed category. There are NBFC, third party, digital aggregators, our own agency network, and whatnot, right? And if some of the work that we've done with our partners like Google and our own analytics team, we found few interesting traits. For example, there is a high correlation between affluence and health insurance propensity.
Okay.
Health insurance still continues to be, unfortunately, a discretionary spend.
Okay.
So people who tend to be more affluent tend to also have a higher appetite to buy health insurance.
That's true. Yeah.
And very interesting, we did an experiment on YouTube, and we then did a cookie mapping along with the help of the Google team and Google Audience Insight Builder, and we found that people who've come to Niva Bupa website have also been in market audience for high-end cars. High-end cars are defined as 12 lakh rupees and above.
Okay.
People who've come to Niva Bupa website also happen to be luxury travelers.
Okay. Interesting.
People who have been on Niva Bupa site also happen to be looking at real estate properties, certain ticket size and above. This is anonymized data at a cohort level that further reaffirms our belief that health insurance continues to be a discretionary spend, and there is a correlation between affluence and purchase. The second interesting insight that we found is that it is, and that's something which has also come out in a report called How India Buys Health Insurance in July 2023, which says that there is a correlation between, the report says that graduate and below is one cohort, graduate and above is a cohort, and the indexing is 125 and 75, which means people who are graduate and above have a higher correlation to buy health insurance. We've also found that. We've also found that people in metros and tier 1 have 1.5 times more propensity to buy health insurance than people in other markets of India.
Sure.
And the third interesting thing that we found is that people who have usage of some of the other financial services, for example, a loan, a credit card, also happen to be a much more engaged consumers. These are people who are online, etc. And their propensity to buy is higher.
Before I let you go, I have to ask you about the IPO. Please shed more details on it.
I think it's very early for us in that journey. We have an intent to do a public debut. When, how, where, etc. is something that even I'm not aware of. It's something that will happen, and whenever that happens, of course, there'll be an announcement formally.
Sure. Thank you, Nimish, for your time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Sana. It's wonderful meeting you.